The invitation didn't come from my brother directly. It came from a cousin, forwarded the way people pass along reminders for dentist appointments or delayed flights. No greeting. No, hope you can make it. Just the date, the venue, and a line that said, "Families coming together for something special." I stared at it longer than I needed to. I told myself not to read tone into logistics. I told myself that grown people don't need hand-holding. Still, something in the message felt provisional, like my presence was being tolerated rather than anticipated. I went anyway. The venue was already loud when I arrived. Lauder, music, the scrape of chairs being adjusted for better angles. Everyone seemed to know where they were going. I hovered near the entrance, clutching a small envelope with a gift card inside, watching people find their names and their places. No one greeted me. Not because they were avoiding me, worse, because they didn't notice me at all. I walked along the first table, then the second. White cards folded neatly, names written in careful ink. Couples, parents, the distant relatives I barely recognized. I kept walking slower now, pretending to look for something I knew wasn't there. That's when my aunt leaned in. She didn't grab my arm. She didn't lower her voice dramatically. She spoke the way people do when they think they're being kind. "He only invited you out of pity," she said. "Didn't want you to feel left out." She smiled, as if she'd offered context, not judgment. As if this was a clarification I'd been missing. I nodded. Not because I agreed, but because my body has learned that nodding keeps things from escalating. She patted my hand once and moved on, already scanning the room for someone more relevant. I stood there after she left, the meaning of her words arriving in stages. The invitation hadn't been a bridge. It had been a disclaimer. A server brushed past me, carrying a tray. Another glanced in my direction, then looked away, her eyes already searching for instructions she'd been given elsewhere. I checked again, just in case, no name card tucked at the end, no extra chair pushed discreetly to the side. There was nowhere to sit. It wasn't dramatic. That was the strangest part. No confrontation, no raised voices. Just a series of small absences aligning into something unmistakable. I could have stayed standing. I could have laughed it off, found a corner, pretended I was early or late or temporary. I knew how to do that. I'd done it before. But something in me resisted the choreography this time. Staying would have required me to explain myself to strangers. Leaving required nothing. So I turned around. No one stopped me. No one called my name. The door closed behind me with a soft final sound that felt disproportionate to what it represented. That night, my phone stayed quiet. No messages asking where I'd gone. No apologies sent late, softened by wine. The silence confirmed what the party hadn't needed to say out loud. I slept better than I expected. The knock came early the next morning. Not aggressive, not hesitant, impatient in a controlled way. I opened the door to my brother standing there, hands in his pockets, jaw set like he'd rehearsed annoyance, but hadn't prepared for anything else. "You didn't have to make a scene," he said, by way of greeting. I noticed what he didn't say. He didn't ask why I'd left. He didn't ask if something had happened. He framed my absence as spectacle, even though I'd vanished quietly. "I didn't make one," I said. He exhaled, already frustrated. "People noticed." That was new. He stepped inside without being invited, eyes scanning my living room as if looking for evidence that I'd been plotting something. He stood instead of sitting, posture stiff. "Our aunt asked about you," he said. "This morning." There it was. The external gravity. She wasn't sentimental, our aunt. She was practical, respected. The kind of person whose approval carried weight because she rarely interfered. She'd helped fund the event. Her name was on more than one decision. "She asked why you left?" He continued, his tone shifting. Less accusatory now. "I told her you got uncomfortable." I waited. "She asked where you were supposed to sit." I still didn't fill the silence. He ran a hand through his hair. "So, what happened?" "Not, are you okay?" "No, I'm sorry." "Just a request for a report." Something he could relay cleanly. "There was no seat," I said. "No name card." No one said hello. He frowned as if assembling logistics in his head, searching for a version of events that didn't implicate him. That doesn't mean I'm not accusing you. It was true. Accusations require energy. I was simply stating facts. He shifted his weight. You could have told someone. I looked at him then. Not angrily, just clearly. Ooh. He didn't answer. The room held that moment longer than either of us expected. Outside, a car passed. Somewhere down the hall, a neighbor's door closed. Ordinary sounds continuing without us. She's expecting an explanation, he said finally. Not I am. She is, I nodded. You can tell her what I told you, he hesitated, then asked. Is that all? Yes. He looked unsettled, like he'd come prepared to manage emotions and found none to negotiate with. No tears, no raised voice, no dramatic claim to victimhood. Just a sequence of omissions he now had to carry back with him. When he left, he didn't slam the door. He closed it carefully, as if aware that even noise could be misinterpreted. Later, I heard that the engagement photos went up online as planned. Smiles, toasts, captions about love and family. I wasn't tagged. I wasn't mentioned. But I was no longer invisible either. I hadn't reclaimed my place at the table. I hadn't been apologized to publicly or privately. The relationship didn't mend itself overnight. What changed was quieter than that. I stopped receiving forwarded invitations without messages. When my absence was noted after that, it wasn't framed as drama. It was treated as a choice. I learned something I wish I'd learned earlier. The dignity doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just leaves the room and lets other people explain why.